stuff with the grime is pretty rough. There's a battle ahead, many battles with arms, but you never see that next big contract if you're losing your grip. Hey now, the gunk is over. Hey now, when the CBA comes, they come. Memphis walls between us. We know that won't win. Here's a story of a kid named Brady who was selected by the Blue Jays in round 2. But the team had medical concerns, so he went off to Florida by himself. As a Gator, he became a hero, and he led his team to the College World Series. By then, he knew that he'd outgrown them, and he was all alone. Till the one day when the Royals found this fella, and they knew it was much more than a hunch. That soon he would develop a third pitch, and his fans would all become the Brady Bunch, the Brady Singer Bunch, the Brady Singer Bunch. That's the way we became the Brady Singer Bunch. He's Edwin Rios and he has the strongest hands. When a pitch thrown hits his bat, who can say where it will land? With Justin Turner gone, he'll shine like we know he can. When a Rios homer lands, it's across the Rio Grande. Seth Brown. You can counter with data that makes me frown, but I won't back down. No, I stand my ground for TJ and Town, and I'll keep drafting closers in the early rounds. Oh, I stand my ground, and I won't back down. Hey, baby, Gurriel will probably break out. Hey, I'll stand my ground.
Well, if you've been here for that entire introduction, welcome everyone. Unfortunately, that is the only Govier you're going to hear tonight. Aww. Oh, come on now. So, folks, we have a whole lot of minor league promotions that have been going on. And so that is going to be the focus of this show. And we're actually going to try to stick on task. We'll see how that works with Robbie and I. But, we're going to try. But, Robbie, we got to start with if you were in the top 5 of the NL MVP vote last year, you may want to just take a week off or 2 or 4. Because so far, Corbin Carroll went down with a oblique injury yesterday. He's not, apparently MRI came back. He's rejoining the team, but then Mookie breaks and Acuna ripped up his knee. Those are 3 of the top 5. The only 2 left, as you see in my little status thing, if you're watching on YouTube, is Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman. Let's maybe put them in some bubble wrap. But
well, good evening, Ben. The other thing we could do is we could pour one out for those boys, because
yeah,
this is a final destination situation that we're going here. It's Ohtani for the win, and everybody else is just going to go down. MLB conspiracy theorists unite. I have not been hitting Jägermeister during all those songs. Yeah, we've got bad news with Mookie. Even worse. My previous week's Jesus Take the Wheel pick, Jose Suarez, it did not go as planned. His resurgence as a starter, as well as his time with the Angels, has come to an end. I don't know who would take him on at this point. Yeah, I don't know who would take him on at this point, but
they're certainly not giving him the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll be coming out of the pen if he's lucky in MLB. I think it's more likely he might clear, and they still might try to just find him a new home elsewhere anyway. They can cycle through. They got lots of boys. So yeah, Ariel is back. I'm not excited about any Toronto.
Is he going to close? Because the Blue Jays could use a closer.
Well, I mean, Nate Pearson, I talked about this before. Like Nate Pearson, you throw him in the 9th inning and say, throw your damn arm out. We don't care anymore. You've suffered enough. Like, let's see if you can have some success in 16-ish pitches, if you can manage that in a night. But yeah, and then the final thing that, people were going to get to it right off the hop here at 8 minutes, keeping track. The Jesus Take the Wheel pick for this coming week is Mitch Spence, and this is a slow play. This is the Rule 5 pick that went to Oakland this year from the Yankees, like so many other Yankee prospect pitchers that went abroad. Spence started in the pen through a ton of injuries. Obviously, Oakland wasn't hoping to have to do this with him. This is the long-term plan, but he's now in their rotation, and he's fine. He's not amazing. His year stats, 57 innings. He has only 14 walks given up, only 4 home runs, but also 43 strikeouts. And as a starter, I think his numbers overall are less than that. Just going to double check here where he's 4% rostered on the Yahoo. He does have 1 start this week, should be lined up for 2 starts next week, which again, this is the idea here. We're trying to get 3 starts. Now, Suarez got 1 start, followed an opener, I believe, and then a DFA. So that's not the best strategy. But Spence should just be starting here. And he's fine. Like I said, not great. His last start, 5 2/3 innings, did give up a few runs and only 3 Ks in that. But we're looking here at scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're at the point in the year where a lot of these guys not only are rostered, but they are like trade bait getting cut. And I'm trying to find, a few ways here that you can thread the needle in more of a redraft. Dynasty, he was picked up in most of the dynasty leagues, even the smaller 12-team ones, because he was a Rule 5 pick that was of some note to some people. But for the month, 27 innings, 17 Ks, and a 4 ERA on the schnoz. And the quality start came in the last 2 weeks because he is now built up as a realistic starter. The other guy I was considering, which would have been a first, and I didn't want to do it, that's why I picked the man that I picked, and I was going back and forth, was Tonkin. Yes, there it is. Michael Tonkin with the Yankees.
Who's on his 3rd team of the year. And
yes, and that's why it's a perfect scenario. 1% rostered in Yahoo, which is all just brand new stuff here, because in your save hold leagues, he looks like he might get some. And that's just like riding a hot hand right now. In the last 2 weeks, 7 1/3 innings with the Yankees, 10 Ks, hasn't given up a run, and he does have that one save hold prior to that. So we'll see what the Yankees do with him. But he's like a long play if you're looking for somebody to fill in your bullpen. In one of my 30-team leagues, the one that I'm playing against Govier this very week, he is the Pirates. I am the Blue Jays. I'm 7-4. He's 6-5. We both started the year terribly. I've brought it up a few times before. He refuses to trade me any of his players at heavily discounted rates to make my team better. Yeah, that's right. The Brady Singer Bowl. That's because that was our trade last year. Was I gave him Ha-Seong Kim for 3 years. I got Brady Singer for 2 years. This is my final Brady Singer year.
Wow,
and
dude.
If things don't go well in the next, I think 3 weeks, we're on the fantasy week 12 here now. He might be a trade deadline, sail away for me. I have been swinging deals. I've moved Miles Mikolas in last week, Ben. Got the best start of the year out of him.
Yeah.
And then dealt him away. The same night I
Nice.
had made the deal. Once the lineup's locked, I traded him away. And it was a fun exercise. Yes, that's true. That's true. Let's move on. So just because I won.
Because you are facing Govier this week. My Braves are facing his Tigers right now. They actually got, I guess you can say they got to Max Fried. They made Max Fried miss the strike zone is what they did. And so he had too many pitches to keep going. But Reese Olson, is just, he's having a hell of a game. Although Austin Riley just got his second hit of the game. He's right now on a 3-game home run streak. He's really swinging a lot better. So if you've been hesitant about Austin Riley, the swing looks a lot more calm right now, and that's his second double of the game right there. So,
and he's got a lot of making up to do, right? Based on the power numbers have been bad this year.
Does, but it's one of those, a lot like the Braves team this year, where all the underlying stuff looked right.
Yeah,
it's just it was going right at somebody, it seemed like, every dang time. And so, but man, Reese Olson just chopped off Marcell Ozuna the last time Ozuna was up and broke his bat in half. I mean, Reese Olson's freaking dealing tonight. So, but the thing about the game I wanted to note, our boy Justin Henry Malloy is starting in left field. That is his second start in left field. He has now played 4 games total in the outfield. So they are working to keep him on the team as they bring back some of these other players that are going to be in the outfield and such.
2 more bits of news that I just noticed right now, because I'm, of course, going through all of my dynasty rosters to see, make sure I've set all my lineups. Of course, it's Monday night. Should have done it already. Romy Gonzalez is off the IL, which was not something he was off of earlier this week, which is a utility player for Boston, which is just going to take away potentially some playing time from a few guys. The other one, which is far more significant, Trey Turner's back.
Yes.
Trey Turner is back. Yes. And we're talking about underperforming guys. Trey Turner was hot as hell before he got hurt. 345 average, 850 OPS, and 142 at bats, 10 stolen bases already within that time. 9 walks.
I think Reese Olson just thought that Adam Duvall hit the ball out, and it was caught on the warning track. He went down in the whole, oh my gosh, he dropped down on one knee, and the whole I just screwed up. And instead it was a long fly out. So he had the old Aroldis Chapman look. Now we're being asked here about Ben Rice. What I will tell you, Ben Rice is on the list. We're going to talk about him. Just patience. We're doing teams alphabetically. We're going to get to some Ben Rice here by the time.
And Ben set this up just so everyone knows. He's like, we did it alphabetically. Yeah, we know you want to talk Atlanta Braves early. Okay, we get it. All right, we get it.
It just helps me.
Recent 6 innings tonight, 4 hits, 8 Ks, and 100 pitches. So I don't think we'll see him next inning. But hey, heck of a start. And then I just saw here, I've still got Jose Suarez in one of my lineups. Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
Utah. Give me 2.
But all right, Ben, let's transition into the news of the night, the promotions and the minors. We're starting with AAA. We're covering AAA tonight. And if we go fast, we might dip down into AA. But, may the odds be ever in our favor. We're already 15 minutes into this bad boy. So, Ben, I'll say the name. You tell the people what they want to hear. So we're starting with Arizona. We've got why did I say I'd say the names? This was stupid. Davison De Los Santos, Tim Tawa. I don't mind that one.
Yeah.
And Yilber Diaz, relief pitcher. All three from AA up to AAA.
Yep.
What do the people need to know about these fellows?
That Tim Tawa was a utility player and probably not someone you need to know about. But other than that, the other two are guys that you should know for your fantasy rosters. Diaz has pitched himself probably into that next man up role for the Diamondbacks. He's had a really, really strong year this year. And on top of that, he's been really a stable force all year. He hasn't had one of those starts where you're like, oh crap, that was junk. De Los Santos was a Rule 5 pick last year by Cleveland, got returned, took a little bit to kind of get on his feet. I think, one of those things where you're in a different team system all spring long, and then you come back. It took him just a little bit to get going, but now that he is, one of the things to note, he is playing almost exclusively first base. So he was a third baseman in the past. He might be third base on your fantasy logs for this year and maybe even into next year, depending on when he gets called up. But Arizona right now is pretty firmly in third place and in that division, and might be working towards fourth. And I would make sure, if they start hitting the end of things, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he gets a call and they want to get a look at him and see what they've got for next year.
And Arizona's done this before. I'm trying to remember. Oh my goodness, he's with Miami now. Emmanuel Rivera. Yeah. So he was playing well, AA up to AAA.
Yep.
Definitely was AAA was when I picked up on him. And I remember he was one of those end of season, I think, got a look. And then next year was like, is he on the club? Like, he's a cusp guy, like a Trey Cabbage type, where like you can see they're not the youngest guy, whereas De Los Santos is. But one of those, like, could we see him or not? So Arizona's not afraid to give guys a look. I did want to remind everybody that we are at 798 YouTube subscribers. And I said a week ago, I would not get off of this Monday night podcast until we had 800 or more. And I begged you a-holes to subscribe so that I didn't have to make the threat of I will stay on here and talk trucks at the end of this podcast until we are at 800. So get on there. It is Palazzo Podcast. Like this one. Only 2 people have and subscribe to it.
Give me 2.
All right. 2 Zeds. That's the important part here. Now we can talk about Boston. I think is the next one I have.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk Braves. So let's get cheesy and talk some Nacho Alvarez. He's up to AAA. Patrick Halligan, who is a right-handed relief pitcher, and Drake Baldwin, who is useless because he's a catcher. So all those guys have been promoted. Ben, do we care? Baldwin's a new name to me. What's the deal with these guys?
Baldwin's a guy who they drafted as a bat first catcher, but has picked up stuff quick enough as the behind the plate that they've really pushed him. It was a really, it's a surprising thing for the Braves. They usually are very cautious and slow with their catchers. I mean, William Contreras was beating the crap out of baseballs for a while, and they slow played him up the system to really make sure he knew what he was doing behind the plate. Baldwin has been way ahead of what they thought he would be. But even then, this is at best, this is going to be Travis d'Arnaud's replacement next year.
Okay. And he's only 2% owned on Fantrax, the unofficial Best Dynasty not podcast, the unofficial Best Dynasty home for fantasy baseball. What the hell? That sounded like an off-key one. That was an off-key, lock it in.
There we go.
Anyway. Okay.
That was a minor key.
Interesting.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Because we're talking minor leagues.
Yeah, we're not sure. We're going to totally officially lock it in. It's a partial lock-in.
So, but the guy you really want to know about is Nacho Alvarez here. Halligan's a reliever that might turn into a 6th, 7th, 8th inning guy, but really
That's
doesn't
best
have
case
closer
scenario,
stuff.
right?
Yeah. Yep. But Nacho's bat has really taken off this year. And he's still playing short. That's the thing to me that surprises me. I thought this guy was going to third base this year. He's got a really strong arm. I could see him playing well in the outfield down the road if obviously third base is occupied in Atlanta for a long time. Arcia though is coming up at the end of his deal, and
I was gonna say so second, so short.
Yeah. So basically, it's is he going to be good enough to be the other side of the platoon with Jared Kelenic, or can he play some short?
Right.
But he is. The crazy thing, he moved up to AAA and he's been on a heater ever since. So he's actually hitting better technically in AAA so far. I really like
fastballs, perhaps.
It looks. I'll say I've only watched him play one game, but that particular game, it looked like they were pounding fastball out and sliders / curveballs with some depth. So like the sweeper sliders and the curves, trying to. They must have seen something they think he would chase, and he was just poking those foul. And as soon as they missed into the middle of the zone at all, he was driving the ball, so interesting guy to know. He was a top 100 guy on a couple of different places this year. Yep. So, just
under Ignacio, and then even on Fantrax, they've officially changed his name to Nacho Alvarez. So I know there was some confusion amongst dynasty guys who had him, and there was a little running joke in one of the group chats of like, well, I am going to go and pick up Nacho Alvarez, and then what the hell are you going to do, like to commissioners? And they're like, well, like Fantrax will fix it. Like, it's obviously, this is just temporary. It's like with Shintaro Fujinami, who got hurt with the Mets. He was in AAA, got hurt. They officially called him up and put him on the IL, and some of the league settings from Fantrax didn't catch up to it. They just moved him from minors to majors and didn't put him on the IL. And I had to email Fantrax and be like, hey, man, this guy's on the major league 60-day. Like, you need to move him so that dynasty owners are not screwed. Myself in one league was victim of that. But that's what happens with some of these sites. So just be careful.
Miguel Sano was originally signed as Miguel Jean.
Okay.
And so
that was an issue.
How he got listed on a few different platforms. And so then he had it was Miguel Sano almost immediately after he got signed. But when he was one of the top prospects in all of Latin America, he was known as Miguel Jean, and that's how he got added into their system initially. And so you had some systems where he was one of, either one. And so that they eventually cleaned that crap up. But, so anyway, that's Atlanta's guys, and we don't need to talk
Baldwin's
more
a new
him.
name to me, 2%. Alvarez is more commonly known amongst dynasty community, but prospect fanatics out there note those two, and the potential of Halligan, because Ben just couldn't leave it alone with just the two guys. So now let's move on to one that doesn't need to take much time, because F the Red Sox. Nick York, happy to see that he's up and moving at an appropriate pace.
But
and Matthew Lugo
deserves it. York,
it's pace for competition, I think, more than it is based on performance.
I think honestly they wanted to move him out to get other guys more at bats and better position in the lineup. And frankly, the rest of who they have in Portland right now is definitely future guys like Kyle Teal, guys like, Marcelo Meyer, things like that. Matthew Lugo is interesting though, because he's always had power speed combo, and he just couldn't figure out defensively. They tried him at short, they tried him at third, they moved him to the outfield, and that has really taken. And now he really looks like a guy who could be a 15-20 sort of guy, and that's valuable. I mean, I think it'd be 260, 15-20. I don't know that he's a 30. I don't know that he's a 30 home run guy. I don't know that he's a 30 steal guy, but he's got a little bit of power, a little bit of pop, and a little bit of speed.
He's enough with the build, Ben, that it could absolutely over the next 6-7 years put that bulk on a bit at a time to get up there, if that's the path he chooses to go.
But what I've been impressed by this year is he's a lot more patient at the plate right now, and that's going to play as he works up. One of the things we've noticed with Boston last night, they are very much taking advantage of their team speed right now. I mean, they just ripped off 10 steals on the Yankees, which is everyone loves to see the Yankees look goofy. But just I've heard this in a couple of podcasts today, so I want to bring it up, of course, myself. The last time
you listen to other podcasts?
Yeah, I am. I'm a whore like that. But the last time the Yankees had 10 bases stolen against them, Ty Cobb stole 4 of them. So I thought that was a really fun little factoid. So I figured we needed to repeat that.
Wow, dude.
Well, yesterday, David Hamilton was the one putting on a clinic. This is also a Govier's guy because he drafted him, which I thought was a little early and to be genius.
You can tell who's running the sound, can't you?
But 4 stolen bases yesterday, and he's prior to play today, which he did play and left the game early. Hopefully he's just day-to-day and not actually injured. He had a 288 average with a 340 OBP, which is the most impressive thing to me. About a guy who was not going to be on the opening day roster and not going to be effective if brought up because he's going to be one of those 26 type guys. And I acquired him last year in a deal when he did get called up. And I gave up 2 pitchers thinking to myself, like, this probably is a bad idea, but stolen bases are going to be something I care about. But Hamilton's profile looked okay. And now he's playing at like what he was doing at AAA last year. He's now doing with the Red Sox. And like, he looks dynamic. Amongst, like, of course, when you beat the crap out of a team, everybody can look good, but like, he has looked good for a while now at the major league level. Mm-hmm. Of course, like York and Lugo might have more cachet to them, but how old is he here? Hamilton is 26. There's a place for this guy.
Yep. And we just had in the chat that saying that he's going on the IL. So unfortunately he decided to steal 4 bases and then get hurt, but,
left side discomfort in the 4th inning is what he left with today,
which is weird because that's basically the same description that Corbin Carroll had. And
you know what?
But Carroll.
I hope the Braves lose. Okay,
Carroll's no, I'm not. Carroll's healthy and is going with. Carroll's healthy and is going to be joining the team tomorrow or even tonight, and Hamilton ends up on the IL. Same exact diagnosis that was read by the team, that side discomfort, and one of them's had an MRI, but still joining the team tomorrow, and the other one's going on the IL. So you can figure that one out. But
okay. Well, enough of the Red Sox. They didn't deserve the 4 minutes we gave them. Here at minute 28, we are rocking and rolling to the baby Bears. Here we've got Cade Horton. This is an important one. Now, Horton, I feel like we talked about possibly having an injury or a concern of some sort a week ago.
He is on the injured list right now in the minor leagues. He got promoted. He had 4 dynamic starts in AAA or a AA, 18-2 strikeout rate, and over 16 innings in AA. Got promoted and was struggling to hit the plate. 11 walks. And in 18 innings, and the worst part is when he starts to struggle hitting the plate, he tends to aim, and that fastball gets really straight, and it's got a lot of velo behind it, and it starts to allow for more home runs. Now, we're talking 4 home runs in 18 innings. It's not the end of the world, but it is. You're starting to see some of the things that could be an issue for Horton, and why they're very likely going to slow play him up to the majors. They're going to let him earn his way back and earn his way up to the majors. And especially since nobody in the NL Central wants to take this stinking division, they're going to be in it all year. And why bring up a guy to get his lumps when you know that you've got guys who've done it at the major league level, even if, like Hayden Wesniewski, it's not pretty, but you know what it is.
It's serviceable.
Yeah.
Like with Wes, he's a perfectly serviceable guy that like moves aside for the Cade Hortons of the world, right? This guy's going to start, Drew Smiley's time is come and gone. He's part of the he's a fixture, but he's not going to be bump and start like Kyle Hendricks, same deal, right? But Wesneski's the next layer of guy that you can kind of move around a little bit for saving him for the Horton types. I like it.
So
I like it. Okay, so on to the White Sox, which I mean,
Which-
we apologize.
Yeah.
Really, we apologize. We do have to cover them. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's a really sad sound.
Well,
Oh, man.
now that we've got the downplay on the organization, what's the upside on Josimar Cousin? I'm going to say Cousin, Cousin, who is approximately 0% rostered on Fantrax.
And probably should
Starting
be,
pitcher.
but was owned or was originally signed out of Cuba, played 6 or 7 years in Cuba. So he is a 26-year-old guy. Oh, and Albie's just left the building. All right. Anyway, Cousin is a guy who he's seen a tick up. They moved him from starting into the bullpen. Yep. And he's seen a tick up to 96, 97. It's a really, really heavy fastball. You know, he's going to generate a ton of grounders with that. But then he also mixes in like 3 serviceable moving pitches with a cutter, a slider, a curveball. This is a guy that could work in the back of a bullpen. And Lord knows the White Sox are looking for anyone to offer them, 48 cents on the dollar for their bullpen pieces so they can move them out and not have to pay them. So a guy who's working his way up to AAA with potential to be halfway decent at the back of the bullpen is someone to really take notice of.
I agree. I definitely feel like with the White Sox, they're a churn and burn mode right now. You get anybody that's doing anything, and you take that asset if another team comes knocking. And this would be a great spot for somebody like
his stats this year are just nuts. 0.64 ERA, 0.71 WHIP, 17-3 strikeout to walk over 14 innings. He started the year hurt, but he's just been excellent ever since he's come back. So good guy to keep, just a name to know.
And the next organization up, because we only have a single guy for a few of these, because there's only so many to note, really. Cincinnati, Zach Maxwell from AA to AAA. Maxwell, just so everyone is aware, 3% rostered on Fantrax, and in 2 of my leagues, a 30-team league and a 20-team league, both probably my most active leagues, rostered in both of those because we got some sharks swimming in those waters. So what do we need to know here about right-handed pitcher Zach Maxwell? That is Zach CH, not CK like Morris.
We need to have Govier bring up his profile, because he is but he's 6'6" and listed at 275. And
talk dirty to me.
I bet he's right-handed. He's right-handed, though.
I know. I was gonna say, tell me he was a high school draft pick.
Zach Maxwell.
Yes, as Ty just mentioned in the chat, the best part of waking up. But I think that's Folgers. Is Folgers a North American thing? Do you Folgers coffee?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
So he's a Georgia Tech guy. Was a 6th-round draft pick just because he was a 4-year reliever, and so they kind of knew they could save some money on him. But and that's not even that's actually better than his picture.
He looks like Tugboat. That
yeah. And if you see like full body picture of him pitching, he's a large boy. He's a large child. But really has been solid out of the bullpen. 40 strikeouts in 22 1/3 innings, but 21 walks. So heavy. It's a heavy sinker. It's 98 with the sinker. Really hard slider, but that slider is a fall off the table type of slider, and it misses the table a lot. He looks like a lineman. Like I said, I played offensive line in college. He looks like a guy who would be 3+ bills every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And he's listed at 275 because God forbid we list anyone over 3. So
I was just saying, because you can't not put that, like that's just it's a no-go for the organization.
Yeah.
All right. So that's our White Sox that we may or may not care about. Now let's get to some Guardians. And this is an important one to me because I liked this guy out of the draft last year because I was told this is a fast riser, more likely bullpen riser than starting. As
and
Andrew
he's
Walter.
done exactly that. Yeah. He's had some control issues in AAA, which made his AAA numbers not look so great. But he's been just excellent this year. 46 strikeouts in 27 and a third innings of relief between AA and AAA. He's right-handed, 6'4", 222 is what he's listed. But I mean, the stuff's there. He's a legit stuff guy. And the crazy thing I loved is in college, he was a 72 strikeouts and 7 walks over 44 and 2/3 innings in his last year with Miami.
Yeah. Locked in.
And he looked very similar to that in AA. Like I said, he's had some control issues. He hasn't shown that much in his college or pro career. I would bet that's coming around, and he could be the K-Rod for them this year. The guy that comes up in August and takes a spot in the bullpen that really strikes out a lot of guys and maybe establishes himself down the road. So,
yeah, he's 7% rostered on Fantrax. Most of your dynasty leagues, he's scooped up. If you're in one with me, I may or may not have him. Probably do, because I like the potential of this man to make an impact this very season, which I think he would be the 5th guy in the draft class if he was to get up this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
but what's happening on the television that you're looking at?
So Joe Jimenez was just watching a nice grounder off to Matt Olson and then realized, shit, I'm the pitcher. I got to cover. You see the coach on the bench going, what the fuck?
Yeah. The last time we practiced this was spring training, right? That's exactly what it is.
Can't do it.
It's just like bunting. Like, oh, why didn't you run in? Like, we don't practice bunt stuff anymore, coach.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of bunting, let's get to an organization that bunts on their competitive windows. Detroit.
Ouch. Go Tigers. Come on.
The Orioles of the Central.
And we've actually talked about both of these guys already. So
all right. So I'll just say the names. You say the bit. Give us a scouting report. Lyle Lockhart, the left-handed pitcher. I'm already interested. And Ty Madden, a name we have heard repeatedly, both from AA up to AAA. What's the dealio with these boys? Lockhart is 0% rostered, and Madden I'll check on very quickly.
But they've both been up in AAA for a bit now, but just they're both guys to take note of. Lockhart has struggled since he got up there, mostly because of control issues. He's kind of a kitchen sink lefty, but your type of lefty, 6'3", 225.
Ooh, and a 9th round pick by the Dodgers.
It
sounds so good. And
the Dodgers actually released him at the beginning of last year. We talked about
him.
And so the Tigers pretty much got this guy for free and immediately put him into AA, and we're like, all right, yeah. And 193 ERA and 28 innings in AA to start the year. He is an older guy. He's 26 already. But like I said, back end, swing man type of lefty, that's valuable. And those type of guys can go on runs where they win you 12 ball games.
Oh, he's a New Year's Eve birthday. That's unfortunate. You've already let your parents down by not being a New Year's Day baby. And you're like the youngest of your group. Right? Like you are, for some kids, you're going to be 300 plus days younger. Wow. Sylvia is asking, guess what he was doing on December 31st, 1997. Guess what he was doing? I don't know. I think I was 14, 15.
That was my senior year of high school, so I couldn't even tell you because I probably was playing cards with my parents, which anyway. Oh,
trying to make a little loud.
That is just wonderful. All right, so the other guy, Ty Madden, we know who Ty
25% rostered. Yeah, common dynasty name we know. Yeah, sorry, just wanted to get the 25% there.
Yep, and the Tigers are kind of still trying to figure out who that 4th, 5th guy is. And just like Lockhart, Madden really hasn't done it once he got up to AAA, and a lot of it has to do with control. I will tell you,
such a tried and true story with control issues,
Although a big issue with that, Robbie, is we have the ABS system in AAA.
To always be closing?
Yeah. Well, no,
they're spelling
always
closing wrong.
Automatic balls and strikes, and
right.
that
so there's no more theft of catchers.
Yes,
helping. Yeah,
and it's guys who rely a lot on good junk stuff, on good breaking pitches, have struggled moving up into the ABS system. Kyle Harrison last year really was a solid control guy once he got up to the majors, and everyone was talking about, oh, this guy shouldn't be up in the majors when the Giants called him up because, oh, geez, he's walking the building and he has no control. And well, yeah, if you're looking at just the numbers, absolutely. But if you look at the fact that a lot of his pitches that hit the nice little pretty square that they show us were called balls, more than likely that's going to change when he gets to the majors. And lo and behold, it did. So I don't know that that's entirely the issue for these two guys, but you're going to hear that story quite a bit moving up to AAA.
And also,
Eddie's mentioned Jackson Jobe will be their guy in September. Jackson's he's really struggling to be efficient enough to get into the fifth inning. They have a really low pitch limit on him. It's like 65 or 70, but he has really struggled to get into the fifth inning on that low pitch limit. So he needs to be, he really needs to end up focusing and going for not trying to go for the strikeout. Let's just put it that, because that ends up rolling up a whole ton of pitches on a guy. So,
and the note on Harrison also, he surprise DL'd yesterday.
Yeah.
With even on Yahoo, he had the green, check mark that he was starting. And when I checked my lineup before I rolled off, yet another win in my home league. And Ty, if you're still listening, it's you and I this week, baby. And you are going down, Kearney Boss. I am looking to maintain my second place, ideally move up to first place with a win this week. But Ty and I are second and third in the home league. Battling it out. So I've got good fantasy matchups this week. That's why head-to-head is good and Roto sucks. All right, so we're moving on to talk about a cheating organization here at minute 42 and 30 seconds. We're talking about the stolen World Series champion Houston Astros.
Here's something really important to know. They're losing a whole bunch of their starting pitching. And so here is a left-hander. Now, not your type of left-hander. He's 5'11", 170 is what he's listed.
It's a Houston left-hander.
But he's a Houston left-hander, and so guess what? He knows how to throw a curveball. And that's just something they always know how to do.
Yeah.
But
you trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Well, he can't spot it. But anyway, he has only had one spot start so far. He spent most of the time in AA, but Julio Robeno.
Yeah, I was not going to say that one.
Is a guy that's folks should be getting to know. 45 and 2/3 innings this year, 47 strikeouts. And the one time he didn't start a game, he got a save. So that's kind of interesting to me. I always think that's he's made 9 appearances, 8 starts, and has 1 save. So, but really nice compact delivery. I really like the idea that he could be a guy that potentially fits in maybe a stack situation. However they want to figure out the back of that rotation. I have a feeling come the end of July, they're going to figure out whether or not they want to make a trade, because they're going to look at how far back are we? How hurt are we? And if they just say, you know what, this just ain't working. I mean, this is where a guy like Justin Verlander, if he gets himself going again, could be really valuable to a team like Seattle. Well, no, Seattle doesn't really need a starter.
They wouldn't do that, yeah.
Philly,
but what Toronto? If Toronto got their together, if
the Braves
was rolling, anybody, there you go.
The back of the Braves rotation. I mean, he would actually be one of the few teams where they could talk in the locker room with other pitchers, because you got Charlie Martin and Chris Sale in the locker room with him. And
all right, calm down, Ben. All right.
But no, I'm just saying, like, But you could see him being a viable trade candidate. They have some other guys that could move, especially in that bullpen that are coming up on free agency this year. They thought they had a really stacked bullpen. I could see Houston making some moves, and so it's good to get to know their arms. Another guy I don't have listed here is pretty much been in AAA all year, but that's AJ Blueball, and he's another one that would be another guy to potentially move into the back of that rotation. So just good info, guys, that might help you out in August and September type of players.
Absolutely. And that's stretch time of the season when those guys can be super valuable. And Julio Robenia is 0% rostered. Our next guy up, moving to Kansas City, the overachievers, Chandler Champlain, which they are hoping to pour some Champlain later this year. He's moved up to AAA at 6% rostered. I just checked, only rostered in 2 of my Dynasty leagues, so not everyone is on to him. Ben, what's the deal with this beautiful 6'5", 220 beast?
He's kind of he's about a 5-6 pitch guy. But everything is average or better. Nothing is. Right. I don't know that he has a plus pitch, but
classic starter.
Nothing's below average. So kind of your classic back end guy. I would almost bet that a lot of those folks that own him in fantasy owned him because he was a Yankees pitching prospect. But he's been one who moved over to the Royals and has really just continued to do what he does. It's nothing sexy number wise, but he's just a good back end starter profile and has continued to be that, even moving up to AAA where it seems like balls are just flying out of the park. He's getting through innings, and that's what you really want. But the only issue he has is that's about the thing we didn't expect out of the Royals, was to get decent starting pitching every night for them, and that's exactly what they've been getting. Is they have a very solid rotation this year.
I've been expecting it for years, but not from the guys that are on their line.
Yeah.
It's the guys like Daniel Lynch who's been blown up and gone back down a couple times.
Chris Bubich.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about him. But there are other. Singer's the one guy who's still kicking around. Brad Keller, he was. Let's talk about the Dodgers.
They have a long list.
Yeah, so the Dodgers are on here with Austin Gauthier, Ben Casperius. I'm just going to screw that one up, but I'll get the next one. Hanil Choi, because I've been waiting patiently for Hanil Choi. Jack Dreyer and Michael Flynn. So all those boys have moved up. So what do you got for Gauthier, who he's an OBP guy? Furious is new to me. Choi is a pitcher who is supposed to be good 4 years ago. I was hoping he was taking the Julio Urias freight train to the show, and that just hasn't happened to this point. But he's still young, younger. And then I don't know anything about Flynn here. So what's the deal?
So
learn us, Ben. Learn us.
Gauthier, he's a guy that I think he really fits a Dodgers mold, that they really like these guys that can play 6 positions and get on base. That's what he's going to do. I don't know that he's going to give you anything for power necessarily, but he's not going to give you nothing for power either. I don't know that he's going to give you 20, but he might be the type of guy that gives you 15 homers if he somehow ends up getting 5 starts a week among multiple positions. He could be a guy who gets you 15 home runs. And Gauthier, I'm not 100% sure. I'm really not 100% sure how the heck to say that last name. But
David's commenting, I'm progressively losing parts of my shirt. So you know what happened here, fellas. And if you want to get into truck talk, then go ahead and don't subscribe on the YouTube, because we're still sitting at 798 right now. And I got to talk to you about carburetors and U-joints.
Can't do it.
We're going to do it.
So, and you said Choi's a really kind of has matured over the years into a really nice number 4 type of starter. And I think, and the guy who I'm really interested in is Kasperius.
Okay.
He was a two-way guy in college initially
Aren't
that was recruited, and hey now transferred. He transferred back to UConn for his final year, but in the middle of all that, he ended up having the COVID year in the middle of that. So,
just lost baseball time. Yeah,
23-year-old or 22 or 23-year-old when he finally got his first pro time. And he's 25, 26 now, but has slowly been building in pitches. And he can work up to 6 in a game. Is 4 of them, I would say, are average to above average. And he's got a slider that is absolutely wicked. I think if the fastball is maybe his worst pitch as far as grade. It's a 92 to 94 mile an hour fastball that ticks up to maybe 95, but it doesn't have a ton of run, or a ton. It doesn't do anything really to separate itself, but he uses all the other pitches off of it very, very well. And he locates. This is kind of your perfect inning eater type of 3-4 in the back end of a rotation. Now, if it were anyone but the Dodgers, you would be a lot more interested, which is also where I'm going with.
Interesting. So because you think the organization is to his detriment in this scenario?
As far as getting a major league time, yes. But what he's doing this year, and I will preview a little bit that he is included on my article that will go up tomorrow on my Medium. I'm going through guys who have been promoted, and he's one that I highlighted. I mentioned at the end of the write-up on him, the way he's working, it seems like they are moving him up to showcase him for a potential trade.
Gotcha.
And he could be a very good tertiary piece in a trade. I don't know that he'd be the number 1 or number 2 guy in a trade, but as the third guy you get,
right, he's the one that really gets the deal done, right?
Yeah, he's a good high floor sort of guy that, we're getting, Zahir Hope, that could be something, might not be anything, but he could be something, he might not be anything, but now we're also going to give you a guy that's for sure a major leaguer. Here's a guy he's certainly going to be at least a swing man. He might be a 3 or 4. That's a pretty darn good guy. Like I said, Dreyer and Flynn, they're solid stuff type of relievers. They've had excellent results this year. The issue is they're in the Dodgers. The Dodgers are really deep with bullpen option arms.
Right.
So especially as we get into the second half and guys start to get healthy. So anyway, so Mike, what's your question? What's your question?
Does that mean he's going to unmute himself? No.
Is he MLB ready? Yes.
The question is David Festa
MLB
Major
ready?
League Baseball ready?
His pitch is absolutely 100% are.
I feel like you can throw anybody with stuff up. It's a matter of how they execute under pressure.
Yep.
Carlos Rodriguez was a minor league player of the month, I think, in May, after a rough April that we squawked about at length. And then he came up and was, I don't know what you want to say about the first start against the Blue Jays, was not great, but also kind of survived a little bit.
Yep.
Wasn't able to get 5 in, and he's pitching tonight. I'm going to quickly check here to see how he's doing, but he's an example of what I would call a stuff type guy, where he's got stuff. So you can send him up and see how he's going to do. It's not a lock. Where the hell is he here? What team does he play for? Oh, good. He has not yet allowed a hit. He's been perfect tonight, through 1. Thank you. But Festa, sure. Why not? Right. Next guy up here, Ben, through the Dodgers here with Miami at minute 54.
Yeah. This is kind of a fun one.
25. So. Yeah. Javier, other than his name, good guy. His first name's fine. I got it. Javier. Sanoja. Sanoja for everybody out there. He's
Sanoja. I don't know.
Possible third base type. 2% rostered on Fantrax. He's 21 years young, an international signing. Between the 2 levels, a 301 average, and he had a lower average and lesser stat line, per at bat type at AA than AAA. So is this just like a man amongst boys who's now a man among, or sorry, he was a man amongst men at AA and now he's a man amongst boys at AAA because he's doing better?
He's a rare Miami prospect who has moved up the system with the bat and actually looks like that bat may be useful. He's continued to do. Jay's gonna unsub because we're not talking trucks. But
no, because we are talking. Sorry, I just read
because we aren't.
We can talk about it. We can talk about it.
So,
we'll have an intermission instead of the Yankees. We'll just talk about trucks. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. But but no, I really think it with where Miami is this year, with guys not playing well around the infield. I mean, they're still technically giving Tim Anderson time, but do they really care to hold on to that all year long?
Well, Emmanuel Rivera, who I mentioned earlier, he's now with Miami getting peripheral time too. So to your point of like play a guy, here's a guy that,
here's a guy and second base or third base. I think he'd do very well. He has played some short. He's played some outfield. He's a guy that could really do.
Sounds like a Dodger.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, in all seriousness, I think this is a guy who it would not surprise me to see by the end of the year, and we get a good idea of what he is going forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, he would definitely be a good one. This is Javier Sanoja. That's how I'm officially pronouncing it.
There you go.
Sanoja. Next one up, he's already rostered in your dynasty leagues.
Most
people
likely
are starting to nip at him potentially as I don't know, we would safely say a late season call up for the Mets. Blake Tidwell here at minute 57. Let me repeat it. Blade. Sorry, I said Blake because I thought his name was cool, and it turns out it's even cooler. Blade Tidwell.
I mean, the guy should be like,
Blade. His name's Blade.
He should be working out with Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing for the Rubble Ponies. This sounds like a mid-90s action star.
He's actually up now to Syracuse, and so he
started
the year. He started the year with the Rumble Ponies. Yes, but
you can watch the original Blade Tidwell in Rumble Ponies.
So, Chad just breaking here. We'll take just a second, but Waldrop news just broke from Bauman.
Let's talk Atlanta. Good, thanks, Chad, bringing it back.
Well, Hurston Waldrop was sent to the IL.
Wow, dude!
And they
no chill on Braves news. No chill.
They said that there was elbow tightness. So of course you had everyone in their monkeys.
You know what that is.
To throw the hot reaction of, oh my God, it's Tommy John.
Yeah, no, 2026.
Because in all seriousness, say what you want about the Braves not sharing information. If a guy's hurt and actually needs surgery, they're pretty quick to announce it. And so they shared Strider's like right away. But that's
thanks, Eddie. Do it.
There we go, Eddie. But
family and coworkers count.
But Waldrop going down could give you some potential for those back end guys like Darius Vines, Dylan Dodd, Alan Winans that nobody really wants to own, but those guys could be coming up to eat some innings. So just Bryce Elder could be back up here. These are the guys to kind of, but with the Braves now going on an offense heater, that could actually mean a win or two.
So they're not going to waste the opportunity. They're going to put the hot hand, give them the ball, and let them go 5+.
Yep. So, anyway, back to Tidwell.
I think that's enough on Tidwell.
Tidwell really pitched very, very well to start the year in Double-A, earning the promotion, 44 strikeouts and 37 in the third innings. He got to Syracuse, and this is another guy, excellent control. I won't say that it was plus control, anything, but a guy who had average to above average control. And then he went to AAA, and now 16 walks and 14 strikeouts in 21 innings. So
adjustment.
Yeah, but what I will say, and 6 home runs allowed in those 21 innings. He had only allowed 1 home run in 37 and a third before that. So he's a guy that
sorry, Ben, that could even be something as simple as like he's tipped pitches. Like to hear that sharp of a transition could very simply be like they're picking up on what he's going to throw.
Well, and he's another one. He overthrows when he's trying to hit his spot. If he's not hitting his spot, he overthrows and it flattens out his fastball plays up to 98 and it's really good up in the zone. But when he's trying to aim, he's not going to try for up in the zone. He's going to try for belt high, and he's going to throw it belt high, and it's going to flatten out, and it becomes an easy, he's generating the power. So, right. 98 mile an hour fastball right down the dick, it's going to go out of the park. It's just, that is what it is. So, hey, Eddie, I know you don't like Mondays because there's no minor league ball, but that's why we talk on Monday, because we're your minor league talk.
Now we are giving you what you need. And now we're going to have the shortest one you can imagine. Horrible organization.
But this has been requested already.
Fantasy, and people are dying for this useless information. I mean, we'll give it up. The guy is 17% rostered. He is rostered in all of your good dynasty leagues. New York Yankee, waste of space catcher, Ben Rice. He was murdering AA, 12 dingers. He's got 3 since the promotion. Ben, he's just doing well.
He's doing well.
Just doing well.
And he's one thing we were asking, whether the question that was asked earlier was whether he was a viable guy to stash. And
no,
for one, I always love the Ivy League guys. This is a Dartmouth guy. Always enjoy guys that are coming from the Ivy League background. But
I prefer Cornell myself.
Well, that works. Brown, whatever your preference is. But this year, he's been a catcher primarily all the way through. This year, he's been almost even with first base. They're trying to get his bat into the lineup, and I think it's going to be very, very interesting as the season wears on. Now, here's a good question. Anthony Rizzo just busted his hand. Could this be a potential fill for them at first base?
Jeez. Wow. That would be impressive of the Yankees.
I can't imagine that they would pull that this quick, but
right. Luke Voigt's somewhere in indie ball, right?
Garrett Cooper, didn't he just Jose Abreu. Now just watch Jose Abreu.
There you go. Jose Abreu. That's the perfect one.
That's the guy.
That's exactly like the Matt Carpenter, right? He'll shave it to a mustache. He'll show up about 400 in July.
He'll end up hitting 15 home runs the rest of the way for the Yankees, who will all be like, what the hell? But anyway, no, this is legit. He could be an option for them at first base as the season moves on. David is asking if they could move Wells to first and put Rice behind the plate.
That's not a fit, though, is it? Wells isn't a first base type. He's a catcher.
I think Wells is a better defensive catcher, which is not saying a lot. But Rice is really a hit first catcher. I think we talked about Yankees catchers when we did our Yankees system preview. And my comment about Rice is that he really fits a David Ross profile. If he ends up behind the plate, it's a consistent guy. I'm not going to make a ton of mistakes guy behind the plate, but he's not going to really help you a lot defensively. He's there behind the plate because he can hit. And so, David Ross was always a guy that hit very well for a backup catcher and was just kind of a steady Eddie sort of backup guy, veteran presence sort of thing. And I think Rice, if he's playing catcher, is that profile. But the bat is good enough that the Yankees may want to see what they have and move him off the position.
Well, we'll find out, but that's enough of the Yankee talk for one night. Am I right, guys? Okay. Let's move to a real organization, Oakland, because they have all sorts of position eligibility. And as the year goes on, it will only grow. Rice is an interesting topic. Let's get into Jacob Wilson promoted, Grant Holman promoted, Robert Salinas promoted, and JT Ginn I'm going with
gin rummy.
Gin is the common pronunciation, but it could be gin if the night is right. So we've got 4 Athletics to talk about here. Wilson was the guy from last year's draft that everyone said, oh, he's like the safest pick to be an MLBer. He'll be a safe guy. He has proven that to this point.
Yep.
Now up at AAA, and
When
I don't know if you want to
healthy.
call it knocking on the door. Like, do you think this is a safe knocking on the door, or this is where he'll be until 2025? Do you think, or there's enough time left in the year, right? We can see him without losing rookie eligibility.
Is he? I gotta look here. I don't remember. He's been dealing with some injury stuff, and I don't remember if he's 100% healthy at the moment. In fact, he is not, because he's on a rehab assignment in the Arizona League. So that's exactly. I was going to say I thought that he has been hurt, but he's still hitting over 400 on the year. I mean, that's what's really stinking nuts. But he's Wilson is just, he's a contact god. He's going to give you, maybe if you're really, really lucky, he might get to double digits on home runs and steals, but maybe not. It's average.
He could be. People don't like people are like, for fantasy, I don't like him. But Ariz has consistently helped your average every week when you go and get those sluggers. Like Aaron Judge is famous, well, not famous, whatever. He has those weeks where he hits under 200, and then he has a second one, and then he goes and blasts 4 dingers the next week after that. And you're like, yay, Aaron Judge. But Ariz has held you for those 2 weeks when he's been batting under 200, and Ariz is batting 330, 340. Wilson could 100% be that guy. And Ariz started slow this year, and everyone's like, oh no, he's useless. He's right back to doing what he was doing before. And then, of course, he was traded to an organization that's still trying to win. So it's only gotten better for him. Wilson could be in a similar situation as a fantasy asset for everybody out there. And he slipped in all first-year drafts because people kept saying, oh, he's a safe pick, but I want the, splashy guy. Forgetting the fact that, Wilson could actually be an asset. Myself included. I just let him slide. I didn't put him on my board, didn't think it was going to be worth it. I wanted different guys in and around where I picked.
So Salinas and Ginn each have reason to chat about him. We'll get right to them, but Holman is a guy folks should really be taking note of. I honestly don't think Oakland is truly going to trade Mason Miller. I could see him moving
what a
loose.
Haul, right? You need quite the haul. You're not getting that from a closer.
For a closer, and especially a closer who's got all of 30 innings under his belt or whatever.
It's not Edwin Diaz.
But Grant Holman is a guy who they converted to the bullpen this year. The stuff is bumped up to triple digits, and it's a wicked slider. This is a legit back-end reliever. This is a guy that you could see pitching late in a game, not the closer. But if they decide to trade Lucas Erceg, who I do think could potentially be a guy that Oakland moves, Holman could be a very interesting 7th, 8th inning guy with the type of stuff he has. And he got bumped up. He's a very interesting name just to know for that reason. So Salinas and Ginn. Salinas is the guy who has all kinds of stuff and goes through times when he doesn't know where the hell it's going. But when he does, this is a guy who has legit, I think 2 of the last 3 or 2 of the last 4 years has been in the top 3 to 5 of strikeout leaders in all of minor league baseball. So he generates a ton of strikeouts with the stuff that he has.
And only 8% rostered.
Might end up being a back-end reliever someday when folks just say, you know what, we're just going to have you do the fastball slider and just toss everything else. But he does have 4 legit pitches that work. They're just, the fastball slider are like 78% of his pitches or something to that effect. So when he's right, that's what he's pounding. And he's using the other ones to just throw guys off. Ginn is more of your kitchen sink sort of guy. He's a guy who had a ton of helium. If folks remember, he was drafted by the Dodgers out of high school, turned them down, went to college, and then was drafted out of college. to the Mets, got hurt in college, and ended up getting drafted by the Mets. And he's never really had a healthy season since. I believe he's gonna be nearing his. I gotta look it up. He's gonna be nearing his career high in innings very soon.
So it also has news here from a week ago with an injury report, of course, Ben. And he'd also given up 8 earned runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, over 7 2/3 innings with the promotion after his previous IL stint. Sorry. So yeah, like this is somebody who definitely we've heard of in the fantasy community before. We've seen him on draft boards, and we're just waiting to see that good news come to fruition with like bulk innings.
And so far, he threw 92 innings the year after he was a 2020 draftee. So he threw 92 innings in the first year with the Mets and has never pitched as many as he's pitched this year since. He's got 50 and a third. And from what he's been on the IL, I think 2 or maybe even 3 times. One of them flat out was we're pulling him away from the field to kind of force him not to pitch for 3 starts or 2 rotation spots or whatever. So he's a very good potential back end starter type. Oakland may have gotten basically a something for nothing out here, but don't plan on seeing him this year. Let's just put it that way. But it is interesting to note that he's having enough success to legit make it up to AAA. So,
and only 4% rostered. So depending on your league. So you got with Philly, Max Lazar.
Yeah.
So I'm currently looking on Fantrax just to try to give a little rostered percentage for the Dynasty folks listening here. All 195 of you, which we appreciate, live with us right now.
Subscribe.
Yep, subscribe or Truck Talk is coming. It's gonna happen. But Max Lazar is showing up on Fantrax as a Milwaukee Brewer.
Yeah. He was an off-season minor league free agent.
There we go.
He actually 2019, before we all went through, COVID and all that fun, he was a legit prospect. Through 85 innings that year, struck out 119, only had 15 walks and a 2.33 ERA that year. And he's just never been the same. Brewers finally in 2023 moved him to the bullpen. Injuries are a lot of why he wasn't the same, but they finally moved him to the bullpen and he was having some success. But like I said, he got to be a minor league free agent. He'd been in the system long enough and he signed with Philly and he's been freaking lights out. 33 strikeouts, 3 walks, 24 and a third innings. He's not a guy that'll bring 99 at you, but you can see actually the picture on the profile there, you see his arm action. He's very over the top and he gets a ton of downward angle on his stuff. And so he basically doesn't give up home runs. It's really tough to take his ball out of the park. And so he lives with he pounds the zone, lives on the bottom of the zone. And with the angle that the ball gets, he gets a lot of guys on really weak contact or swinging over the top of it.
And it looks beautiful here, Ben. 20 games. He's got 9 saves in 24 and a third innings, 33 strikeouts, like Des 3.7 ERA. The whip is under 0.5. Like this is elite stuff. And like you're saying, he's not blowing it by everybody, but he's confusing the hell out of them, which like for a Philly team looking to compete, that's found money. Minor league free agent signings that come up happen
and he's only 25
year. Right. So he's on the young end of the minor league free agent. If only he was a lefty, I'd be more interested.
There you go. But the Phillies, I mean, they're still not 100% on who all has what role at their bullpen. But a guy like this that could come in the 6th and
get the threat,
get your ground outs. Yeah, get a double play, get out of the threat. That's that's an extremely valuable piece.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Moving over here to Pittsburgh at I'm going to just round it up to 1 hour 15. That's when we're going to start the Pittsburgh talk here. Everybody take a sip, and we're on. Carter Binn's a catcher, so don't need to worry about that. But Braxton Ashcraft, a right-handed pitcher. What's going on here? Binn's is catcher depth, right?
The only reason I brought him up is because he's always been kind of a glove first catcher that has slowly worked his way up, and this year he's starting to hit a little bit. That's all. The only reason I brought him on here, he might actually get himself a legit major league trial behind the plate as a second catcher, because he's actually hitting some in the minors this year. He's not really ever brought the bat. So that's the only reason you really need to know about him, because you come to a team like the Pirates where they've had a lot of injury behind the plate. They've had a lot of behind the plate from the guys that they have put there this year.
A lot of I like that's well said.
So
it's just it doesn't help, right? If they're just guys. We're waiting they're picking up roster fodder Joey Bart, and then he has 8 good days. Everyone's like, Bart, baby, we've been waiting. Oh, never mind. Okay, no, he doesn't have it. But they're cycling through.
The guy to talk about here is Braxton Ashcraft, who was a 2018 high school pick. This is, a while back. Oh, lovely locks.
Oh,
that's hair. That's beautiful hair.
He's got the bandana under it. And the brim, slight very nice. Well, he looks like he could also be a wrestler.
He is your type of man at 6'5", 200 pounds. It says 195. I bet you it's more like 215. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think he's eating right. He's eating.
Well, he's
balanced diet.
He's had a lot of time over the last few years to exercise the body. Let's put it that way. He's had a lot of injury, which has really delayed his progression. But the thing that he does is he pounds the ever-living crap out of the zone. And it's not like a guy who pitches 90 and pounds the zone. He's legit mid-90s and can touch a 98 and pound in the zone with really, really good stuff. And he's never been able to stay healthy. And this year he's in the upper minors doing that and looks really good. My only worry is you're going to run into a potential issue with innings here. And I honestly think it'd be really fun to see him in the rotation with Skeens and God dang it, and Jones by the end of the year. That would be a lot of fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I don't know that we're going to get to. I think he might run into a inning issue by that point. But this is a guy to definitely put on your radar for next year.
I just wrote down here, Ben, trade for targets, Braxton Ashcraft. That 100% is the type of guy. And the stat line looks good, not dominant. But it's like you just said, it's the right kind of mix for somebody who could come in and actually be like an effective player. For, of course, the major league team, but for all of us here who are playing fantasy basketball.
For those who had a whole lot of wishing on Mitch Keller, this isn't what we thought.
Yes, I'm listening.
This isn't. This isn't what we thought Mitch Keller could be. This is really what we've gotten from Mitch Keller. That is what you should kind of expect from a Braxton Ashcraft. He's going to come in. He's going to be a guy who is a high 3s ERA sort of guy, but a low whip and good strikeouts. That's going to be what he is. There's going to be days when his stuff gets hit pretty hard. It's like I said, it's a lot like a Keller profile as far as the numbers are concerned. Not the same pitch mix by any means, but it wouldn't surprise me if they have very similar profiles going forward as far as
if the ball's in play and you've got good defense, you're getting further into games, right?
They're intentionally building a team that can go get the ball, and that's smart on their behalf with the guys that they have in that rotation. They're putting a good defense behind him.
15% rostered in Dynasty League, so he's probably out there in one of your leagues, hopefully, and worth a pickup from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. Now, Ben, let's move to St. Louis, where we've got a couple fellows. We've got Mike Antico ICO, an outfielder, and Ramon Mendoza. Both boys have been promoted. And someone did remind me that we have skipped Noah Schultz in the promotion department, and also that he was pegged up on the main board for us. But that's going to be for another episode. So just anyone, so Mike Antico is what I'm being told.
Yeah.
You know what? No one tells me how to mispronunciate words. Okay. I can do it all on me own.
Wow, dude.
Jeez.
Pow.
So here's what these two guys are. They're bench players. And
that is every St. Louis player
right there
that they don't bring in from a Colorado trade,
but they're
Diamondback.
Yeah, there you go. But I mean, in that, Mendoza can play all over the infield, and this year is showing a little bit with the bat. And Tico can play all over the outfield, and I don't know that there's enough there to be a starter as far as the bat's concerned. He's shown better patience this year, but even then, overall, it's a 327 OBP, over 200 plate appearances. That's not great, but he's also not striking out a ton. It's 47 strikeouts in 200 plate appearances, so you can live with that. But more, like I said, more than anything, these are guys that would work as a fourth outfielder. These, or a bench infielder. Mendoza's kind of the same way. He plays all over the infield. I don't know that I would expect him to get a whole lot of run, either one of them, but
right.
They're
all they need is a chance.
And that's just it.
It's one of those things with Tampa Bay players. You're like, okay, they traded for the guy. Let's see what he can do. With St. Louis players, it's like they're on the cusp. If they get up, what are they? If they're highly touted prospects, they are not going to do what they're supposed to do. You got Mason Wynn bucking that trend, but you got Gorman, in and out of doing their thing, and then you got Jordan Walker, who's took a big step back this year.
Dylan Carlson,
there you go. The list goes on and on. We can go all the way back if we need to, but it's just not worth our time. But you get these guys who show a particular skill set, and they get in front of the right bench boss, and all of a sudden they're put in a position to be successful. And then it's like, hey, Brendan Donovan,
Yep.
And so on and so forth.
That's a really good comparable for Mendoza. The guy's he's 371 on base this year, 1 home run, 1 steal in 106 plate appearances. I mean, there's just not a lot of power and speed. It's not a pretty fantasy line, but he gets on base. And like I said, he can play short, he can play second, he can play third. Yeah, that's a guy.
The deeper the league, the more important he becomes to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, let's move to San Francisco, where
they've got a bunch.
Yeah, bodies are hitting the floor on the IL. At the same time, bodies are getting called up. So let the bodies hit the floor. We should figure that one out. Govier. Anyway, Brett Albach, utility player, Hunter Bishop, highly touted prospect, Grant McCray, a name I know, and Reggie Crawford, a left-handed pitcher, have all been promoted, Ben. Who do we like of this crowd? I mean, there's so many.
Oh,
this is fun.
What's interesting to me is Auerbach is a really true utility guy because he can also play catcher. So he is one of those true, bring him up, he can play all 9 positions on the field sort of utility guys. But he actually was not playing all that great at Richmond at AA. They promoted him and he's hitting 325, 386, 575 in AAA. So, ta-da.
Promotion granted.
Yeah, I guess.
New level unlocked.
Yeah. Hunter Bishop is an interesting one just because it seems like we've been waiting a long time on Hunter Bishop.
When was he drafted? Like
2019. The 10th overall pick out of college in 2019.
This is a slow burn.
He obviously everybody missed all of the 2020 season, and he had all of 56 plate appearances in 21. Came back and could not figure out how to hit in 22, and then missed all of 23. But now he's back and he's hitting 271, 354, 427. striking out, I mean, it's close to 30% of the time, so it's not pretty, but there's 6 home runs, 8 steals. You know, there's a little bit of everything there that you kind of were hoping you would see down the road. And they've got him playing center field in AAA. So, I mean, they're still kind of like, yeah, he's just, I really.
Jeez. He's been in Dynasty Hunter's mind so long.
I know.
Hunter because of his name. So in 2020, this is a feature on Fantrax they updated this year. You can go back in your leagues and look at fantasy transactions, and sometimes you can see players who have been traded like 6 times or dropped or whatever happens. But in 2020, December 20th, 2020, remember where you all were? Well, in one of my 30-team leagues, he was part of the headliner. It was JT Ginn, who we've already discussed tonight, Errol Vera, and Hunter Bishop. And do you know what the return in the trade was? Matt Olson and Drew Rasmussen.
Oh, my word. Somebody stole that.
Oh, my goodness.
Genius.
Yeah, there we go.
And in that league right now, he's a free agent because he's been dropped since then. But that is just like the, trials and tribulations of.
The crazy thing is he's only 25. I mean, if we really want to get into it with the Giants, Mike Yaz was older than that when he finally got to the majors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so I
totally. Yep.
They don't seem to have an issue with that. If a guy's good, he's good, and let's get him up and let's see what he can do. I wouldn't be surprised to see it. I wouldn't be surprised to see them bring him up and
just give him a shot.
See what they have. Yeah. I mean,
like they've brought up, Ramos, and
they've had Luis Matos up. They've had Luciano up. They've had a lot of guys up. But yeah, there's no reason that Hunter Bishop shouldn't get at least an opportunity, you would think, based on how he's played this year. The other outfielder, Grant McCray, a couple of years ago, everyone loved Grant. Actually, just last year. Let's say the last 2 years. The last 2 years, he's hit. Over 2 years, he hit 37 home runs and stole 95 bases in 22 and 23. He's fast. He's fast as a hiccup. That I'm not gonna debate.
Fast as a hiccup?
You haven't ever heard that before?
No.
Oh, okay. That's
okay. A new one.
But
I'm gonna try it. I'll try it here in Canada. I'll let you know. Okay, I'll repeat. In a week we'll discuss. You gotta fast understand, as a hiccup.
I live in the middle of Nowheresville, rural South Dakota. There are a lot of things we say that are anyway, that are just, that's kind of what the good old farm boy talk.
Fast as a hiccup for Grant McCray. All right. 5% rostered on Yahoo on Fantrax for everybody who's interested.
And he had legit stuff. Folks thought, this was a potential power speed guy. Yeah, power and speed, sure, but he's got to make contact somewhere. And in AA, it was a 210 average and struck out more than 30% of the time. But he got for some reason they promoted him, and now he's hitting 280, 400, 400. So, figure that one out. But the guy does have legit plus, even double plus speed, and that's that's gonna play. He can just go get it in center field. I really like watching him play center field. So with the issues they've had with injury and with performance out of Matos in center field, that very well, there could be an opportunity there. So.
Yeah, and the last guy here, Reggie Crawford, 9% rostered on the on the Fantrax. Savior? Is he going to save the season here?
No, they moved into the bullpen, and he's not been getting a lot of multi-inning appearances, but he looks really tough out of the bullpen as a lefty. I think that could be a really, really good role for him, and with his arm health, it wouldn't surprise me if he's a reliever, just because he's had the issues he's had staying healthy with the arm. Yeah, plug him in as a left-handed reliever. That's a guy that could give you some big strikeout numbers from the left side. You don't get that out of a lot of lefty relievers.
Okay. Well, let's move on to what'll be known as a quick conversation. We're going to be talking now about a catcher for Tampa Bay.
No, he's not a catcher anymore.
Oh, come on. Once a catcher, always a catcher. Alberto Hernandez. Yeah, they moved him out from catching. So this poor guy, 5% rostered, he has been talked about for years that this is going to happen. This is the guy, but that was all catcher talk. Now we've got an outfielder, and I'm listening. He was doing very well. This is a guy who smacks the ball as hard as anybody. But it's that thing where the angles aren't right and you launch it. That's what he's been needing to work on. Well, anyway, it looks like, I'm looking at a report back from May when he had hit 5 dingers within his first 20 games of the year. Ben, has he done anything else since? I know he's been promoted.
Yeah, so I was just going back to look. December of 2020. Do we remember what we were doing at that time?
Yeah, that's when there was that trade where
the Rays,
the Bishop. No. When in fantasy, when Hunter Bishop was part of a Matt Olson trade,
the Rays at that time thought that they would trade away Nate Lowe and Jake Gunther and a player to be named later, and they would get back a whole bunch of prospects, including Herberto Hernandez from
so Texas
Rangers.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I was like, I know that there was a fairly named guy that he got traded for, and that's who it was. His overall
that was
season
an escape for Lowe. That trade was an
escape. Yeah, God, that was a blessing for him, especially for fantasy owners of his. Hernandez really played well in Montgomery, and Montgomery has a decent ballpark. What folks need to understand, the Southern League is not a great league for home run power. So if you see a guy coming out of the Southern League who's got double-digit home runs, take a lot of note of that. But 7 home runs, 15 doubles, pretty solid. But he's gotten up to AAA, and other than his home runs, he really hasn't done anything. It's an 0.97 batting average right now.
Ouch.
So, but
then let's end
it. Yeah.
Then let's not bother.
But this is a guy who's, he's a corner outfield guy. He's not going to be a center fielder by any means. He's not that athletic. Pretty solid arm. I like his arm in the outfield. There's a reason, but I don't know. They typically like to go with guys who can play good defense in Tampa, and I just don't know that he so much can, or that have positional versatility. He's basically a corner outfield only, and he's not that athletic. It's not really a pretty sight out in the outfield. When he makes a mistake, he can throw the guy out, though. So
so this is somebody who, if he's coming up to Rule 5 territory this offseason, then Tampa Bay might give him a shot beforehand, thinking to themselves, like, we're either letting him go because no one's going to take him, or we just won't do anything with him because we don't think anyone's going to take him.
He would be a really interesting guy. He's been there before, but he would be an interesting guy for them to send back to Arizona. He went there as like a 20-year-old. Him in the Arizona Fall League would make a lot of sense for them to kind of say, take a look at who you got here. This guy might be available. We might have to put him on Rule 5, but you might want to trade for him before then.
Yeah, we could protect him, but you could also just have him. That's an interesting one. All right, well, let's finish with the Nationals, and they've got Mr. Andrew Alvarez, who is approximately 0% rostered in every dynasty league. And when I'm looking back here at a very long list of minor league assignments for him, also some, I believe this is college ball I'm looking at here. Yeah, Big W. I'm seeing a lot of variation within the averages, as well as the K to 9. So it seems very competition based for him. But in 60 2/3 innings this year, he's got 55 strikeouts, a 1.23 whip, and the ERA right in the middle, 3.41, all looking solid. So you see promotion to Rochester. What do you think about the potential here?
He is a really interesting lefty who he kind of fits the prototype college lefty. He's, what is he, 6 foot? Oh, he is 6'3". He doesn't look 6'3" on the mound. Let's put it that way. He's 6'3" and 215, and it wouldn't have surprised if somebody would have told me he's 6 foot and 185. I wouldn't have been surprised. He's just, he doesn't look long and lanky on the mound. And the fastball is low 90s. But he mixes everything else in well. He gets a lot of weak contact. He's struggled, it seems, every time he gets to a new level. And he's been promoted midseason every single year so far. Last year he was 261 in high A, over 103 innings, and then a 450 over 26 innings in double. This year it's just 2 starts, but 704 ERA and 2 starts in triple. He was a 289 ERA and 53 innings at double. So he knows how to work around. He knows how to work around and get a chance to do a chance to get you 5, 6, 7 innings every time out. And that's very stinking valuable. And especially as a left-hander, there's at least a swingman role there.
Yeah. And with Washington, where they're not set with the rotation today or tomorrow, the bullpen certainly isn't set either. Just stick around. If you're Alvarez, stick around, continue doing what you're doing, and you'll find yourself as a major league pitcher.
We kind of saw a guy like Mitchell Parker come out of nowhere and suddenly turn into a really solid lefty arm in that rotation. And they really need another lefty arm to go with him and Gray. That would be a really fun rotation to put 3 lefties like that. You got, they're not Gray.
And Corbin.
Well, yeah, Corbin too. Jeez.
I was just gonna say, who are you thinking then?
Mackenzie Gore. There we go.
Oh, right.
So Josiah Gray is actually right-handed.
Josiah Gray's a righty, yeah. And he should be back shortly.
And he should be back shortly. But yeah, and DJ Hurst now too, lefty. So get lots of lefties.
The all lefty rotation would be fun.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of interesting.
And then you've got all righties in your pen, and then
which is true.
And then it just gets wonky because how do you ever set a lineup?
But where that could work really well is he's the type of guy that I don't know if he's elite for a back end guy, but he's got the type of slider that could work in a 1-inning spot every now and then. And for sure could be a good multi-inning guy from the left side. So, for a team that definitely needs left-handed depth in their bullpen, that's a pretty solid guy that could come up and help out. For a Washington team that's not out of it, they're kind of just hanging around right now.
Which is like overachieving almost for them.
Yeah, there you go.
And Ben, that's it. That's the guys. So we have
that's the AAA.
That's it. What we haven't done, as far as I can tell, is hit 800 subs on YouTube.
No.
So tomorrow night, everybody, I should be attending my first car show. Put a 4-barrel carburetor on that bad boy, an Edelbrock 1906, the AVS2 model. Ben, you know all about that. I also put an air cleaner on, beautiful, nice Edelbrock air cleaner on there. Purrs like a kitten. Last week was the first week I took the truck out. We were coming to stop signs and it was stalling on me, which is never ideal. But I put this 4-barrel on it today and took it for a little test spin, picked the kid up from school. He's 8 years old. He loves getting picked up in the truck. No stalls, and just went along great. And one of the fun things I did last week, still not at 800. I'll do it. You'll see bare skin nipples. I've got to do, I welded the drive shaft on the top. I've got this stupid thing, whatever, with the truck. I chose to weld it because it was so damn expensive. And then I said to my wife, you know what, just so that this thing doesn't blow up as I am going down the road, like James Paxton's arms undoubtedly will, Eddie. I said, let's buy a brand new drive shaft, because for the same amount of money, I can get all my things and everything is good with a warranty. So that's what I've done. That's truck news. That's truck news. I sure as heck hope we are over 800 next week, or I'll be telling you all about the trips I've taken with the truck, and we'll get into gas mileage, miles per gallon, or as I've been told, smiles per gallon. Ben has left. Govier's long gone. I just want to thank you all for hanging out for an hour 40. We have made you more better, more smarter, and that's the minor league promotions for the week.
So, our things to note. We will be having a mock draft this week. So everyone,
the upcoming major league draft, just to
for
be
the
clear.
upcoming major league draft, make sure you check back in. That should be on Friday. And then next week, we're going to continue on this. We're going to keep looking. Yes, thank you for coming in, Eddie. We are going to continue on our promotions and look at those who are on the AA, who've been pushed up to AA, and we'll see if we can go a little farther than that. But for sure at AA, folks.
And if for any reason we are not over 800, I'm going to start talking about my other truck, my 1954 Fargo, that I'm going to be putting a Volkswagen diesel motor in. And I mean,
you got
I would
1
rather
week,
that be
folks.
a different podcast. Yeah, just so I might lead off with truck talk if we are not at 800 for next week. But anyway, thank you all. Blessings.
Yes. Yes, Tuesday,
9 p.m. with Triple Play Fantasy. Now that we haven't officially ended, we'll end now. Join us tomorrow night, 9 p.m. The Triple Play Fantasy guys will join the Palazzo guys, and it is a fight to the death. You can bank on it.